Max Verstappen's future with Mercedes might have been finally solved after recent reports stated the focus and wishes that Toto Wolff has regarding the 2026 lineup. With Mercedes seemingly closing the door on the Dutchman and wanting to continue with Antonelli and Russell, will this be the smartest decision for the newly regulated era? And if so, where does that put Verstappen regarding the poor performance of Team Red Bull? The F1 media has been filled with reports from Toto Wolff, Russell, and Verstappen regarding the future of the four-time world champion. There were strong indications that he could have ended up in Mercedes, replacing Russell, or giving Antonelli a permanent home in Alpine for a couple of years. However, that doesn't seem to be the wish of Toto Wolff. The Austrian has now committed to Russell and Antonelli as his driver pairing from 2026 onwards, further indicating that nothing is likely to change in the foreseeable future. When talking about it to a greater extent, Wolff said, "The direction is that we want to continue with George and Kimi. That is our top priority. Discussions are ongoing. Everyone is up to date. I don't think there will be any major surprises. It's not just about the team making a decision. The drivers also need to know where they stand." However, there have been certain actions from Wolff that raised some eyebrows among the F1 media and fans. He had the perfect opportunity to prolong the contract of the driver they've been managing ever since the beginning of his F1 journey. That didn't happen, and the words of Wolff are just stating something that we've been hearing for quite some time. The direction preferred is Kimi and George. But Russell doesn't have a contract, and George himself knows that there have been lots of question marks when it comes to his tenure in Mercedes. Even if this is the truth that Wolff is speaking, he made his driver look like an unwanted piece of asset on the grid. If you have so much trust in your engine and powertrains from 2026 onwards, then I think Russell has done more than enough to prove that he could win the championship with all the right ingredients. Like this, you're leaving the door open for speculations, and you're literally telling everyone that the car might not be as good as you'd hoped for. So, you need a four-time world champion in order to win titles with it. On top of that, you'd be trashing the name of the shareholders in Mercedes as well. Ola Kalinius, the CEO of the German team, stated loud and clear that there's a green light given for Wolff to negotiate terms with Verstappen. But with this latest statement, it seems like the board of directors just don't want drastic changes. They've raised both Russell and Antonelli to where they are right now. So if they were to replace them with Verstappen, who's basically an outside hire despite all of his greatness, it would put a dark spot over the team's nature of dealing with this type of business. And it seems like Mercedes finally knows where they stand with their drivers' lineup. Wolff also denied meeting with Verstappen in Sardinia, stating that those pictures that were circulating online about the planes landing at the same time and on the same day were a coincidence. Yes, they were in Sardinia at the same time, but a meeting didn't happen. They vacationed at the same area. And with this, Wolff further closed the door on a potential move for Max. However, a very interesting report came from Autoportweb that referred to a possibility that would definitely shock the entire Formula One world. Ola Kalinius, the CEO of Mercedes, is believed to have gone behind Wolff's back in trying to persuade Verstappen to join the team, believing that an opportunity like this can't be missed if it's presented right in front of their eyes. Of course, his word is the one that needs to be listened to as the ultimate imperative. But there are boards of directors who also need to approve as well. So, if Ola wants this move to happen, he'd have to convince a couple of very high-profile personnel in Mercedes that it's the right move to make. But for this, Russell and Mercedes will have to sit down and see where their options stand. It's reported that the Brit wants a 3-year extension, whereas Mercedes wants to go with the infamous 1-year agreement, a similar approach that they've done with Lewis Hamilton as well. The thing is that they have drivers that they could offer the seat to because of the general belief that the new regulations will benefit Mercedes. But whether or not that would turn out to be the reality, time will tell. However, that won't happen in 2026. The Silverstone-based squad confirmed their commitment to Lance Stroll and Fernando Alonso for the upcoming season. But at the end of the day, we know that means literally nothing. If Max were to show any wishes to join the team, Alonso would be sent to an early retirement and promoted to a team ambassador, while Verstappen would have the unique opportunity of competing up front again with the Mercedes and McLarens and potentially the Ferraris. All of this is giving us a lot to think about, but at the end of the day, what matters the most is where does Max Verstappen want to drive. If he stays part of Red Bull, then it's a clear indicator that their loyalty is beyond everything for him. The contract runs until 2028, and I can clearly see him having doubts as to whether or not 2027 is going to be the year in which he changes teams. In the first season of the newly regulated era, Red Bull will probably have the biggest task they could have been saddled with, building competitive engines and staying up front to provide Verstappen with a car that can win championships. And from this point of view, they seem to be failing. The partnership with Ford might not bring nearly as much fruitful collaboration as initially hoped. So what is there left to be done? I don't really think that Red Bull can sit with their hands crossed. They've brought Laurent Mekies as their team principal, and both Max and Yuki have high hopes that the team will finally move in a new, more decent direction compared to where they were headed with her. So with all of this in mind, what do you think will happen with Red Bull and Max Verstappen's future beyond 2026? And more importantly, do you believe that there's any chance that the four-time world champion is going to seek another team as his new home? Let us know in the comments below. And once you do that, make sure to click on the video that's appearing on your screen right now.